They will compete in the Champions Trophy.
talkSPORT News.
Far-right protesters have clashed with police in central London, leading to dozens of arrests. It says thousands of people joined pro-Palestinian marches in the city. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Palestinian officials say a newborn baby has died and dozens more are at risk after a hospital ran out of power.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Keep your car safe on the road this autumn. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com for tyres, MOTs and batteries so you can drive away happy every time.
Mainly dry across the UK tonight, but rain expected overnight in northern and western areas.
Online, DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Get in the ring and go the distance with Fight Night.
The fight starts now.
With Gareth A. Davies.
I don't think he's going to get up.
On talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
Welcome to Fight Night with me, Gareth A. Davis, and him, St. George Groves. And for the first time, welcome to viewers on YouTube as well. We have a huge 3 hours of fistic fun for you tonight on this Fight and Fright Night. British middleweight champion Denzel Bentley joins us shortly in the studio ahead of his fight with Nathan Heaney next weekend. That's live on talkSPORT, by the way, as well. Light heavyweight Dan Aziz is on the show, as is featherweight world champion in the future, Skye Nicholson, the female boxer. And there's the small matter of the very brilliant, the Pathfinder, Katie Taylor, who I spoke to earlier this week, and the American star, he really is a star, Shakur Stevenson. Fasten your seatbelts. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT. Well, just before I welcome in the Saint, from tonight, every Fight Night show, just for your interest, will be live streamed on YouTube. So head over to the talkSPORT YouTube channel right now and every Saturday night to watch the madness, if we can call it that, unfold. St. George Groves, a very warm welcome. I've never worked with you on air before, covered your entire career. You're a brilliant super middleweight fighter. You were part of one of the greatest events I've ever attended in 35 years in boxing when you fought Carl Froch at Wembley Stadium. It was a paradigm shift. A very, very warm welcome to you to the talkSPORT studio.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth. I can remember quite a few interviews I think we must have had over the years, and you always had your unique flair, which I always appreciated, always seek you out. I always tried to be a little bit different in my boxing career, so there was that mutual appreciation. And yes, I'm very much looking forward to being a colleague of yours tonight, as you know, trying to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Oh,
maybe.
Keep me on the straight and narrow.
For talkSPORT tonight.
Well, listen, you can be my wingman. You can be my 12-stone world champion, big punching wingman. I know you're not 12 stone anymore.
No,
I wasn't
I'm not.
alluding to the fact you're now probably a cruiserweight.
And maybe more.
Maybe more. Well, listen, now, can I call you the heavyweight George Groves tonight?
You can if you want. You already have.
I mean it in a kind way. I mean it in, this is heavyweight talk from George Groves tonight.
Let's do it.
And it's not your debut on Fight Night, because I know when I was away probably in Riyadh or somewhere, you did Fight Night with, I think, Andy Clark.
Yeah, with Andy Clark, and that went really well. That was really good. Andy's a lovely guy. I've done a lot of work with Andy. So not like this newbie sort of, we got to get to know each other like we got going on right here now, Gareth. But yeah, great. I love it. I love the broadcasting side of things. Since I've hung up the gloves, this is how I get my boxing fix, Gareth. I get to come in and talk about boxing, which who would have known? I thought I would have been sick to death of talking to boxing, but it turns out I quite love it.
I'll never forget that night when you finally won the world title. Was it at the third attempt?
The fourth.
Goodness, it was the fourth attempt. I remember talking to you. You were with Shane McGuigan as your trainer at the time, and I just remember saying to you that night, you won't remember it because you were head in the clouds at that moment. You were so delighted, fourth time, and you always had the ability. You'd beaten Chudinov, and it was at Wembley. Was it at Wembley?
It was at Bramall Lane.
Bramall Lane, that's right, it was at Bramall Lane. And I remember saying to you, yeah, because Kell Brook fought Errol Spence that night as well, didn't he?
He did.
Am I right? Yes. And I remember coming up to you at the press conference saying, I'm so pleased for you. And I looked at you physically, and it looked like weights had been lifted off your shoulders.
Yep. I mean, it had the weight of the world had been lifted from my shoulders. At that point, I come to realise that my career is winning a world title at the 4th attempt, and everything that came before and after, and everything that it took to get to that situation. But yeah, it was the weight of the world on my shoulders that was finally lifted.
What do you learn? You're the man in the arena. What do you learn in fight terms? Frank Bruno had a similar situation as well, didn't he? I mean, you're both loved British sports stars. Try and try again. Yeah, is the old saying. You know, the aphorism, if you like, that you're looking at. You won't give up till you get to your Everest. What did you learn from that about your fight career, about yourself from that night where you beat Chudanov eventually to win the world title?
Well, I do motivational talks now where I talk about the 2 pillars of my career, which has to be everyone's career, whether it be in boxing or anything else. And what was needed was unwavering self-belief, the self-confidence to just keep going, and a lot of resilience. And you definitely need an awful lot of resilience in the boxing game. And yeah, to fall short, sometimes very narrowly, in my previous 3 attempts. You know, I had the first fight with Froch, which, you know, I will still get my violin out, and we are only a couple of...
Come on, get your violin out. Get the whole bloody orchestra out. Come on. Get the whole orchestra out. Let's hear it.
We're days
I'll
away.
Conduct.
Days away, Gareth, from a 10-year anniversary of that first showing, where I boxed really well, and it just, you know, the stars weren't aligned. We go to Wembley Stadium, post-war attendance record, the biggest boxing event on UK soil in history. 80,000 people in attendance at Wembley Stadium.
Say again.
We could have sold
80,000.
80,000. I mean, it's been Trump since, but in different ways, you know.
Carl Froch tried to own it for a while, till you kind of were out there broadcasting a bit more, and you guys, I love the relationship with you two now, but he tried to claim it as his own for a while, didn't he?
The 80,000.
Yeah.
It is his. I mean, I tried to create a couple of catchphrases throughout my time, Gareth. You know, I was walking around telling everyone everything for a reason, and a few other bits.
What, do you like aliens?
But no one does it quite as good as Froch.
Nah, come on. No, I don't want you blowing smoke up his backside this early in the show. Well, I might get him in the studio tonight. Apparently he's around somewhere, yeah?
We'll get him in. We get it.
Do you know what? I've got to say this. After you'd had 2 fights, do you remember when you were both in the media room at the MGM in Las Vegas? Do you remember that? When you were about to fight Bellew Jack.
Right.
Do you remember that week? And he was there, wasn't he? Do you remember?
I don't remember Froch there. What was he doing there?
He was either that week or it was another event. And you were both... No, because I was saying to you, go and push Froch now. Do you remember? Do you remember that? Go push him. Push him and you'll have a trilogy. Do you remember that night?
Oh, I can remember you asked me to push Froch.
Yeah, I did. I said, go and push him now and you'll have a bloody trilogy.
Say?
You went, nah. You should have done it because Yeah. You'd have had a 3rd fight with him. You'd probably have knocked him out.
Hey, never say never, Gareth. You know,
no, you're too old, pair of you now. And your mates
in shape.
Yeah, you're mates now.
Yeah, we are very good friends. Do you know what, Gareth? That, you know, time goes on, fierce as enemies, but you know, you end up in a really sort of limited numbered sort of group of people as former world champions trying to navigate yourselves here in the talkSPORT building, and you know, it'll probably take me and Froch to sort of compete with you, Gareth. To be honest, mate, you're a tour de force.
Look, I've got my own ways, but what I love about you two, because I'm friends with both of you and always have covered both your careers, I admire both of you. I think you're both treasures to the sport in different ways as well, you know. But what I felt about you and he, I'd like to have seen a 3rd fight anyway. I would have, honestly, because I think it was doable. I've seen you at your very highest, as I say, when you beat Fedor Chudanov, Bramall Lane. But I also saw you, I think, at your lowest, and it wasn't Froch. It was when you lost to Bellew Jack. And you didn't even want to talk to us afterwards. Ricky Hatton did that once when he lost to... Manny Pacquiao. He didn't want to talk to us afterwards. You didn't in Vegas. You were so disappointed. I had him winning by a couple of points. Well, I got full disclosure. He kept hitting you with those right crosses, didn't he? It was a close fight. It was a split decision from memory.
Yeah, split decision.
You were so disappointed, you just left and you didn't want to do the press conference. That's the lowest I think I saw you in your career as well. In terms of level of disappointment, were you going to come back? Were you going to climb back? Do you remember that time?
Yeah, of
and
course.
It's probably easy to look back on now, but at the time you were so low from it.
Yeah, that was a new rock bottom for me, Gareth. You know, you think getting knocked out in front of 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium would be the rock bottom, but it's not. It's skip forward 15 months of torment and trial to try and get yourself fit, try and capture what you believe you should be as a world champion, and to get up off the floor in the first round against Bellew Jack. Brain wasn't engaged, didn't start well. Had to try and fight my way back into this contest, and it was
Vegas.
It was Vegas.
It was the MGM, wasn't it?
You know, fighting
big night,
fighting the champion out in
who
Vegas.
Who was the main event?
Floyd Mayweather.
There you go. Was it Berto at that point? Who was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a massive event. It was his 49th fight, wasn't it? Was that a huge event, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was massive.
It was huge. He was 70 or 29 stories of the MGM Mayweather at the time. Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, he always was, wasn't he, near the end? He's, that was, I mean, it was his fight straight after Pacquiao, I believe. So I think he was big news. You know, people, Bellew Jack was the first fighter underneath the Mayweather banned promotions that became a world champion, and they wasn't someone who no one really thought a lot of him, but he started to show his quality, and yeah, sadly for me, it wasn't my night that night.
Yes or no? Floyd Mayweather the best that we've seen in this era of all the boxers? Yes or no?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll get into it. George Groves in the studio with me. I'm Gareth A. Davis. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. We're streaming live on the interweb tonight on talkSPORT's boxing YouTube channel. I'm old enough to say the interweb, so it's fine. Come and watch us tonight as well as listen to us. Don't if you're driving, obviously. But I'm going to pick the bones over George's career tonight, as we've just done throughout the night. We've got a ton of guests. Denzel Bentley's joining us soon. Skye Nicholson. I think I called her a world champion earlier. She will be a world champion. She really will. She's amazing. We've got Nathan Heaney fighting Denzel Bentley live on talkSPORT next weekend. We are there with the team. We've got loads coming up on the show tonight. Shaka Stevenson, Katie Taylor. But up next, we'll discuss big rumours of a heavyweight event on December the 23rd. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT with William Hill. Get epic value all season. 18 plus. Be gamble aware.
Hello, Billy Pickles here, and I've got all the fixtures on wireless. Tuesday night FA Cup first round replay. Horsham versus Barnsley. Commentary from 7:30. Kick-off at 7:45. What a move.
Tuesday night, FA Cup first round replay, Horsham versus Barnsley on talkSPORT 2.
Get in. What have I just said?
Like a bit of sounds, don't we, George?
We're rocking in here tonight.
We are rocking in here. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Davis, and the one and only St. George Groves. We're picking the bones of his career tonight.
What does picking the bones mean, Gareth?
What it means is... Right, here we go. Let's have an English
when I
lesson
look at
now.
your face when you say it, it's almost like, what does bones mean? It's like, what does it mean?
Well, we're picking over the details, the carcass of your
That's
career.
what I mean, the carcass of it.
All right, we're picking over the glory days of George's career.
That's better, that's it.
You're so sensitive, you're like everyone at the moment. What I mean is, the ups and downs, the journey, the transformation. Look at you, you're a successful human being who was a world champion. You fought in front of 80,000 at Wembley Stadium. You had an amazing career. You're loved and adored. People probably stop you in the street, they want selfies. What do you want? Do you want me to blow smoke up your backside all night?
Well,
there we go. All right, let's move on. December the 20th. Listen, I love you, mate.
What's that? Yeah, let's get on. We got...
Yeah, we are going to get on. Hang on, let me run the show.
Are you going to confirm these rumours, Gareth?
What rumours? No, you can't confirm rumours. Let's get the English.
There we go.
Right,
yep.
Right, you cannot confirm rumours. They're rumours. Okay, it's rumoured tonight by Dan Raphael on his Substack and confirmed and reported by Michael Benson on talkSPORT on his Twitter account that Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder could be on the same card on the 23rd of December in Saudi Arabia. Raphael reported that Turki Al Sheikh of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority, His Excellency the Minister, who recently put on Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, is looking to underwrite and make this card happen. How do you feel about the fact, I'm looking at Benson's Twitter right now and he's going, Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin, Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker, Dimitri Bivol versus Richard Rivera, Daniel Dubois versus TBC, Martin Bakole, TBC. What a card, if it's true, George.
Yeah, if it's true, it's a great card. He's got, not the two biggest names and not the two best heavyweights in the world.
Two of the top four.
But he's got two of the top four, certainly, in Joshua.
That's huge.
And yeah, it is. It's a big card.
Imagine if we had Dimitri Bivol fighting X and Artur Betiev on the undercard or chief support on the same card. Would we not be saying that's a great card and we know what's going to happen next? They're going to meet each other, aren't they?
Yeah. But they're the two best in the division.
Yeah, fair enough. Usyk and Fury, the best. But we know that's happening in February.
Yeah, so February,
That's
Fury, I don't know. I'm not up to date with that.
Fury and Usyk will fight in February, in my view.
Yeah.
Fury, look, I mean, I haven't had your view on it at the moment. Fury and Ngannou fought 2 weeks ago now. It's the worst I've ever seen Fury. Not the worst I've ever seen him, but it's a very poor Fury in there. And
when was he worse, do you think?
When he fought John McDermott at the Brentwood Leisure Centre, when he punched himself with an uppercut.
Yeah, we are going back some time.
But he was a different man then. He was a traveller fighter with curly ringlets and very, very young in his career. In a very close fight that night, by the way.
Yep.
Do you remember that fight? Were you there?
I can't remember.
That was the night before Frank Maloney had a heart
attack.
attack, I think. And the lad, who was the lad who lived with him, one of the Irish boxers that died? Do you remember that?
Darren Sutherland.
Darren Sutherland. It was the night before Frank had a heart attack, and Darren Sutherland passed away soon. It might have been because of that, actually, the heart attack. It was a terrible night. But of those events, Fury was awful in that fight.
Yeah, he wasn't good. So
he was trying to thresh. He was punching you know, like this to the body, never really got his game together. And John McDermott, who was the son of Stan McDermott, and they were travellers as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Stan McDermott was a knock me down, I'll knock you down heavyweight in the 70s, same time or a bit earlier than Big John Fury.
Right.
And so it was a big traveller rivalry that night. I'm telling you, I've never seen so many trucks and big people in the car park in a Brentwood leisure centre. It was mad. It was mad. It was dark. But it was fantastic as well. The ring squeezed up against one corner of the leisure centre. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah, I can't remember if I was at that one or another one. I think they boxed twice. But, yeah, I definitely saw Fury box at the Brentwood leisure centre. It was likely a Mick Hennessy card, maybe, I think.
Yeah, it was a Hennessy card. Back to Fury and Ngannou. Just tell me in brief what you felt about that event.
The event, it seemed...
The fight, I mean.
The fight, sorry, yeah. So the fight, it was... I thought Ngannou won, but either way, I wasn't sitting there with a pen and paper scoring the rounds, Gareth. That's what I'm... Hands up, so I didn't think I needed to. So, you know, halfway through the fight, I'm thinking... Fury's been dropped here, and I don't think he's really winning these rounds.
He's trying to come back. He's trying to find ascendancy, but he's not getting it, is he?
No, he's not. I mean, he's.
But he's winning. He's nicking some of the rounds for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly.
I had him winning by a round or maybe 2 rounds.
Yeah, and I think the Tyson Fury fans, and you might be one of them
I
who
am
really
Tyson
appreciates
Fury
what
fan.
Tyson Fury does.
Yeah, I do.
Whereas if you're like, well, actually, Ngannou looks like he's sort of dominating in terms of being able to boss the fight.
On the eye test. The eye test, yes.
Maybe landing the bigger punches, the more eye-catching.
Yeah, correct.
So for me, you know, someone who maybe peppers a bit more with some loose, fast shots, but gets caught more with the eye-catching shots, I always give the round to the guy who lands the eye-catching shots. So, but as I say, to be honest, I wasn't sitting there scoring round by round. And sometimes you got a consensus that one guy's won, but when you look down at your piece of paper, you realise, oh, no, wait, this is either much closer than I thought or actually it's gone the other way. But Fury, let's get straight, Fury was awful. Like, he was awful.
Interesting points were made about... interesting points were made that when you... Shaka Stevenson, we'll hear from him later when he says this, that he's had sparring sessions when he's going there and he knows who he's sparring, he knows it's going to be no problem at all. And you don't get that sharpener of adrenaline on the way there. But when you know someone's coming to take your head off and you actually appreciate it, your body feels different. Can you appreciate that?
Yeah, I know. I could see what he's saying. You're a little bit too relaxed or too switched off. And Fury definitely... overlooked Ngannou, did not think he was going to be any form of challenge. I don't think he's had competitive sparring in a long time, Fury. He looked, when he was getting hit, he had that look of a fighter who hasn't been hit in a long time. And, you know, there's that element of panic that would come in on a prospect's face, but because he is vastly experienced and because... ultimately, he's at the end of the rainbow now. You know, like, he's got this big fight. He's already signed in for the biggest fight of his life. You know,
which we believe's in February against Alexander Usyk out in Saudi Arabia, by the way. Yeah. So let me throw to you about December the 23rd. What's your feelings about how big is that event if it happens then with a Wilder on it, with a Joshua on it? How big does that make that event with a Parker on it?
It's exciting, but is it too much, Gareth? Is it too? Do you need that many stars who are not fighting each other? They're just fighting on one card. Would you rather have that spread over different weekends?
No.
Would you want it in the UK?
Yeah.
Would you want it in Vegas?
Yeah. But it's not. It's going to be in... I think it's going to be... who knows what it's going to be. It's looking like it's going to be in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, because the argument at the moment for a lot of people is, would these fights... And the promoters especially say, would these fights can't get made without basically the Saudi money? But all of them fights could get made anywhere else in the world. Could you get them all on one night? Absolutely not. But do we need them all on one night? It'd be really great. And I'm sure you'll be out there, Gareth, and it'd be big name after big name. And you've had a great night, but then maybe the next morning you're thinking, oh, I would have enjoyed that if that was a great month.
That event in Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago, from start to finish, I'm talking about the whole event now, the gala dinner, the way they'd built it.
What did you eat at the gala dinner?
What did I eat? God, I was so busy talking to Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture and hugging Manny Pacquiao and interviewing Lennox Lewis, chatting to Mike Tyson. I can't even remember what I ate, but I was so busy enjoying this room full of some of the greatest names. I wish you'd been there. I wish you and Froch had been there. Some of the greatest names I've come across in boxing and MMA in the last 30 years, you know? What did I eat at the dinner? I think it was really delicious food. I mean, I don't recall, because Ronaldinho was sitting over there, and Eminem walked past there, and you know, it was just staggering.
So was it the best event you've ever been to?
Yeah, no question, the biggest event I've ever been to in my life. Yeah.
And can I say, and I'm definitely not trying to bash the Saudis, because I think this is great. For me, who wasn't there and didn't get to
do you wish you'd been invited?
No. But
I wish you'd been invited.
I wasn't there. But it didn't. The excitement that you was having didn't transpire through the screen. Mm-hmm. When I'm sitting at home watching it, it did. And then I'm trying to figure out what was the difference.
By Fury and Ngannou.
The fight, but you're talking about the event. The fight, sure, because you're like, wow, this is a massive spanner in the works. You're left scratching your head because you're like,
and we're still talking about it 2 weeks later.
Yeah, exactly. And
so, what didn't translate to you in excitement then?
The event.
The day after day.
You know, like,
yeah, but when there's a Vegas event, you watch it all week.
Do you know when you watch a big fight, and it could be Vegas, could be New York, it could be London, could be the Manchester Arena. When you're watching it at home, I get a bit of a feel of the atmosphere. I feel like I'm getting a buzz of the event like that. But I don't think the Saudis have yet. Maybe because they're brand new at it, they wasn't able to portray that outwards. And essentially, I think they've got that many stars in the room for all of us watching at home. You know, it wasn't all just for your pleasure, Gareth. That they brought in.
You make a very interesting point, and the point you're making is what you didn't get was the explosion of noise from the crowd there. You didn't get that in the Giant Arena, because they're learning about fight sports, learning about the behaviourism at a fight sports event. Because I remember I love the walk-ins and, you know, Sweet Caroline and all those things. I'm out on my seat singing. Yeah, I'm in. And when I looked around, people, you know, a lot of local people there, that excitement, yes, it translated when all the heavyweights were being knocked out and Jack McGann knocked out Roberto Duran Jr. in the outside arena before we walked into the internal arena, because there were two arenas, as you know. There wasn't the same crowd noise that you get at the O2 Arena or you get at the MGM Grand, because I think the local populace are learning about that event. Do you mean that?
Well, that is the question. I'm asking, what is it? I'm asking you because you was there. But when I'm watching on TV, it just doesn't get that. It just doesn't get the same part across. And it might just be because, as you say, the people in the arena ain't used to the big fights. Maybe the arena's not built for the acoustics to create that atmosphere.
No, the acoustics were good in there. And I do think there was drama in the fight itself, where there was such an element of shock.
Well, yeah, it's the most dramatic fight that there's been in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. George, great views from you. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Up next, British middleweight champion Denzel Bentley joins us in the studio.
The new talkSPORT Superstar Breakfast. Stuffed with superstars. Stacked with sport. Triple deep fried every day with wit, wisdom, and wonder. Starring Alan Brazil, Ali McCoist, Jeff Stelling, Ray Parler, and a cast of thousands.
Superstar DJ, here we go.
Ball-dropping, head-turning, ear-splitting radio. Fresh every morning with fame, fun, and football. The world's best connected morning spectacular. The new talkSPORT Superstar Breakfast.
Arrives Monday, December 4th
on talkSPORT.
Superstar DJs, here we go.
45 seconds of round number 1. Denzel Bentley, the man from the streets of Battersea. Good shot. Oh, what a punch that Really was. Good left hand from Denzel Bentley and a right. Kieran Smith is down.
I wanted to come and steal the show tonight, and that's what we've done. We came, we saw, we conquered.
It has been surgically dissected there, really, by Denzel Bentley. And the pressure was just relentless, Rich. He was just on him and on him and on him.
At this point, Denzel, I look at this middleweight division and it is crying out for someone to just come along and get hold of it. Are you the man to do that?
Yeah, I feel like I'm world champion in weight, most definitely.
Your winner by way of technical knockout, Denzel Too Sharp Bentley.
You're listening to Fight Night and talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Davis, St. George Groves. I'm just calling you George Groves for a while now. I'm taking the Saint out for now, but we'll come back to Saints and Angels and all those things in a minute, George. Yep. He is my guest for the next 2.5 hours. Denzel Bentley, the British middleweight champion, joins us in the studio looking, yes, too sharp, ripped, handsome as ever. Come on, let's see that beautiful smile. There he is. I want to carry this on, guys, because in the break... George Groves is like throwing giant spanners in the works tonight as I pick over the bones of his career. I'm just teasing you. The beautiful career that he had, the former super middleweight world champion. We were debating about what it means that the audience is quiet in Saudi Arabia or in the Middle East when they watch fights. And you raised that, Denzel, about George having the first fight over there for the Muhammad Ali trophy, remember, against, was it Callum Smith at the time?
Yeah, I fought Callum Smith. It was the first professional world title fight in Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, we got out there first. And we didn't know what to expect. And maybe neither did the boxing crowd that was out there. I don't think they'd ever seen a professional bout before. So, yeah, I mean, it was a weird time for me, to be honest, Gareth. I knew it was going to be my last fight. Lots of stuff to sort of try and just get on with rather than enjoy. And it was an experience I didn't really want to be there, to be honest. But that said, the atmosphere was different.
Denzel, have you ever fought in an atmosphere where it's so quiet that you can almost hear the... Because you know when early on in a card sometimes you can hear the feet shuffling on the canvas. You can hear every punch.
Did you fight in lockdown?
Yeah, I fought behind closed doors 4 times.
Exactly.
I hear every shot, yeah.
Did you ever feel bad? You know, like, because sometimes you whack someone, you got the nasty little 10-ounce leather gloves on, and you hear the sting come off their ribs, and usually you can't hear it because the crowd are going crazy. But then I covered a few, of the lockdown shows, and you could just hear every punch going in.
Punch. Like, it makes you kind of admire your work. You hear it and you go, "Ooh, I know that hurts."
Does it make you feel different when the crowd is very quiet, when they aren't as engaged, when there is a smaller crowd? Yeah, can you appreciate what George is saying, Denzel, about that it didn't translate here because for Fury and Ngannou in that event because that you couldn't feel the atmosphere of the crowd?
I mean, I guess there's two sides to it. I mean, like, without the crowd and the noise, I guess you can maybe lock in a bit more, focus a bit more, because there's less distraction depending on who you are. And some people, like, they get up for it with the crowd. They do it for the crowd. There's some boxers that are just bad sparrers in the gym. And on fight night, the atmosphere and everything gets them up for it and they perform brilliantly. So I guess it just depends on what type of fighter you are.
When you were watching that last weekend, did you have views on Fury and Ngannou?
Yeah, I did. I was very, I was shocked. I was surprised. I didn't expect that at all. I think I was going back and forth with people on Twitter saying, people are saying Ngannou's got a puncher's chance. I'm saying that puncher's chance is very slim, but
I gave him 10 minutes to make an impact in the fight, and obviously he did it in the 8th minute. I think Fury never recovered. But George and I were discussing it. Do you think he couldn't stop himself from underestimating?
100%. 100%. And that's why you got to give credit to the elite fighters, the greatest fighters, because it takes a lot to lock into that mindset every single time you step up. So he saw Ngannou and thought he's never boxed before. All I'm going to do is just dance around him and flick my jab at him. But Ngannou was just too strong, and I think that was the difference. I mean, Fury couldn't use his weight and use that weight advantage and bully him and all that stuff because Ngannou was a stronger man. He looked the fresher at the end of the fight as well.
Did you have Fury or Ngannou winning?
You know what? I don't score fights no more. And I'm not just saying that like as a cop-out.
Splinters, sitting on the fence.
No. In all honesty, I think regardless of who won, Fury took the bigger loss that night in general, just because he shouldn't have been able to do that to you. You're meant to be the best fighter in the heavyweight division. That means the whole division's in trouble if that's the case.
But aren't we now thinking, I want to see Fury and Usyk because it's a much closer fight than we ever thought?
No, I think in Fury and Ngannou is bigger than 2 is bigger than
it will
Fury
happen.
Usyk.
Do you not think it'll happen? Fury and Ngannou 2, he's got to put the record straight.
I think I don't think Fury fights again.
Yeah,
but if he does fight again, he fights Ngannou. I don't think he fights Usyk.
You don't think so?
I don't think he fights Usyk.
I think he has to, otherwise his leg.
That's very odd, George. That's a very.
But
odd
I've heard
view.
that a few times.
They've signed to fight in February.
Who cares?
That's true.
Who cares?
So George
they were
Groves
signed to fight on December 23rd. I thought,
yeah.
and then he didn't do a press conference. First of all, I people think I bash Fury a lot, and I do, but I just tell it how I see it, how I think it, and I am a big Usyk fan, and this is speaking from what I've experienced in my career, and I can imagine that Fury has more than enough now. More than enough. Does he really need to roll the dice? And yeah, sure, get maybe a career-defining win against Usyk and a big payday. Or does he get beat? And then how does he tell everyone the baddest man on the planet?
I reckon they're going to have a split draw in the first fight anyway, and they'll fight a second time.
Fury Usyk?
Yeah, I think it'll be. I've got a feeling it'll be so close.
Are you talking about conspiracies now, Gareth?
No, just.
You keep talking about aliens, and now you're talking about conspiracies.
No, you're the aliens guy. I just think that I think it'll be a very, very close chess match physically. And I do. It wouldn't surprise me if we're finding it very hard to score it at the end, and it's a split draw. Remember, they're signing a 2-fight deal. Remember.
Yep.
How would if you were in his position? Is that what you're talking about? You'd have thought
Fury.
Yeah.
I'd be questioning a little bit, and only he knows. But is he thinking, do I really want this anymore? Am I really willing to go all the way? And at times in his career, he's been writ off and he's come back to show people, and that's like what's been his motivation. So maybe that will be the case. But maybe he's thinking, I boxed Derek Chisora over a year ago, and I didn't really train that hard for that because he was finished. And before then, the fight against Dillian Whyte, that was pretty comfortable. I haven't really been pushed since fighting.
Before he fought Dillian Whyte, could we have predicted that he would dominate him so easily?
Yeah, I think so.
Dillian Whyte had never boxed for a world title before. He'd never boxed anyone. He had to,
Did you think Fury would win it that easily as he did?
Well, when I watched Fury against Deontay Wilder, number 2, I thought this guy is the best in the division. If he fights like this, then I don't see how anyone beats him. And
Denzel, let me ask you, how do you? George has got very strong and very salient views on the heavyweight division. How do you see the heavyweight division at the moment?
It's in trouble a little bit. There's a lot going on, and there's nothing going on at the same time. It's like all of these rumours, reports, and all these things, and nothing's really happening from it. We're not really seeing the facts we want to see. AJ Wilder's been in talks for
5 years.
Better part of 5 years, yeah. Fury, AJ's been going on for probably about the same. Like, no one's really fought anyone at this moment in time.
Fury AJ's been going on since the beginning of lockdown, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
And that was about to happen, but we had the arbitration case.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you like heavyweight boxing, Denzel?
I did, but now I'm not really too interested.
I just don't buy it. I mean, I don't buy it from either of you. I think heavyweight boxing is really exciting at the moment, and it's going to happen next year.
No.
We're going to have some massive fights. With Wilder and AJ, you're not going to watch Wilder versus Parker. What are we talking about then?
But I still think the heavyweight division's in trouble. You ask any fighter out, ask any fighter out there who their favourite fighters are, and none of them will mention any fighter from the heavyweight division.
How is it in trouble though?
Because they're nobody's favourite fighters. If you ask any kid on the street, who's your favourite fighter? No one's going to mention any fighter from the heavyweight division.
It's always been like this. Why haven't we had an undisputed title for 24 years? money, timing, ego always comes into it. You go back to the mid-'80s, Don King brought Mike Tyson through in that tournament with the HBO. I think the way they should do is have a tournament for heavyweight boxing.
Oh, yeah, literally.
Pick the top 12, have 3 groups. You were in a tournament like that. It sorts out. I know you got to the final and you didn't win it, but I'm not pushing that at you. But look what it did. Look what it created. It created a number 1 in the division.
Don't worry about my one. The cruiserweights, which was Usyk.
Yeah, exactly.
They had all 4 world champions went in.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a loss on anyone's record.
No, there wasn't.
And they all fought within 12 months. But the problem was, Gareth, Usyk completed the cruiserweight division within 12 months.
Yeah.
And then he had to go up to heavyweight. What happens if we complete the heavyweight division? You'll be out of a job, mate.
I won't be out of a job. There are 17 weight divisions to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, there is women's boxing to talk about. There's boxing not in the Olympics to talk about. There's the growth of amateur boxing to talk about. There's stars coming through all the time. There's narrative and storytelling. We will never be out of a job because this sport will never go away. It's in our DNA and it's primeval. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Up next, we'll get right into Denzel Bentley's next fight with Nathan Heaney. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Don't forget, you can watch us live on YouTube right now. Don't go anywhere.
Sucker Punch your Saturday nights. Fight Night on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
There are belts everywhere. 7 title fights.
There's 7 top-of-the-bill fights here.
Magnificent 7 ride again.
You
right hand there from Essendon. That was a solid shot.
Absolutely sensational from Liam Davies.
Good overhand right from Rankin.
What an opening round this is for Nick Forbes. Great body shot by Heaney. Good left hand from Denzel Bentley and a right. Kieran Swift is down.
Absolute bonanza for boxing fans.
I'm not sure what to say about that music, frankly, because I normally like some banging tunes at this time of night, but we'll go with it. You're listening to Fight Night TalkSport with me, Gareth A. Davis. Denzel Bentley, the British middleweight champion in the studio, with us up until the top of the hour. St. George Groves here as well, the former super middleweight world champion. Denzel, I watched with interest your fight with Janibek Alimkhanuly in November. It's a year ago, isn't it? It's a year ago. It's literally a year ago today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually crazy, man. I mean, a couple of memories came up on my phone, and I was like, wow, I was in Vegas last year.
Yeah, you were fighting for the world title, for the WBO middleweight title. You will come again. You showed incredible tensile strength on the night. You fought within yourself weirdly, and we've talked about it since. Yeah. You could have gone harder, but you learnt a lot from that. You obviously had the British middleweight title. You've retained it against Kieran Smith. Got Nathan Heaney next weekend. What do you know about him? What are we led to believe, to expect from the fight?
I know he's got a whole army behind him. I really rate his last performance against Jack Flatley. That's the best I've seen him. I think that made me kind of rate him more than I did before, because I thought Flatley was a decent fighter and he beat him quite comfortably. Apart from that, yeah, he's decent technically. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He just doesn't look the part. He's quite stiff, and every shot looks like an exercise, so everyone kind of thinks he's not that good. But I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. Yeah,
I mean, we were talking earlier about maybe overlooking opponents, and you've challenged for world titles now.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I know it's hard. You come back. What's the plan? Like, is there a plan, or are you doing that typical fighter mentality, fight by fight, and we see how we go, or you're like, no, I need to get back to the top?
100%. I'd be lying if I wasn't thinking. If I told you I wasn't thinking, I want to get back to our level, but these are the steps I've got to take to get there. So as soon as I came back, I fought Kieran Smith. Everyone kept asking me, how do I get up for that? How do I get up for that? And I'm saying, I get up for that because I know without this, I can't get back to where I want to go to.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing. It's just the journey. These are the steps I've got to take. So after this, I want to get back to world contention.
Have you got a route planned yet?
Yeah, we had a meeting with George and Frank, and yeah, they said they have something planned for me.
Nice.
Let me ask you, obviously you have great power. You're a great stylist as well. Do you want to make a statement next weekend?
100%. That's all I'm about. I need to make statements that's going to make everyone feel like this guy's way above British level. Why is he still fighting here? Like, move him on. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't need anyone second questioning me, like second guessing me, thinking, oh, maybe that wasn't too convincing. Maybe he should have another fight. Nah, I need to get straight back to world level. So I've got to make a big statement.
Who are you convincing? Is it fans? Is it rivals in the industry?
Is it the WBC?
Is it your team and your promoters?
It's my team and my promoters. I need to. I mean, they believe in me, but fans also want to see me box at a certain level. They don't want to see me struggle against Heaney and then box at a higher level, thinking that I'm not ready for it. I need everyone to kind of realise I'm going to where I need to go to. You know
it's a great division, isn't it? Gennady Golovkin's still knocking about as #1 in the WBC. I think you're 12 at the moment, aren't you? Chris Eubank Jr. is around. Shane Mosley Jr., Michael Zarafa, Erislandy Lara. I mean, I can't believe he's still fighting, frankly, but he's a brilliant, evasive fighter, isn't he?
Yeah.
Pushed Mayweather to the limit. Brilliant against Canelo. Alimkhanuly's still there for the rematch. I'm sure you're after that at some point.
Yep.
Felix Cash is around. All these, there's great fights for you in Britain and definitely. At world level.
Yeah, no, I'm up for all of that. I mean, Felix Cash has been missing for a while, so we need to get his career back on track, and I'd love that rematch down the line.
Yeah.
Janibek, 100%. You ain't got to ask me twice. If I got offered that next, I'm taking it. I want that rematch badly. I think I can beat him. I just got to tweak a few things, and I'm more confident in myself now. Do you know what I mean?
What was fighting in Vegas like?
It was a good experience, because it's like, I didn't think I'd go Vegas to fight. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think I would ever go Vegas to fight. I've always wanted to. Stuff I watch on YouTube, All Access, the big fights in Vegas is like, wow. And then I got there and it's like, oh, we're here. I'm seeing my face on the billboards. It's like, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm actually living this. But I didn't want it to get to me too much.
I remember speaking to you when you were there that week, and you were like, No, I'm just chilling.
Yeah,
I'm just
literally.
chilling. I'm not even thinking I'm in Vegas, which
Yeah.
was like I found it mind-boggling.
Yeah, I didn't want the occasion to get to me. So the day I got there, the night we landed, we just went round the strip, went for a long walk.
Have
just
you been
visited
Vegas
all the
before?
No, never in my life.
Who did you have with you? You had a few family members with you over there.
Yeah, there's
didn't
like
you?
30 of us came down. My parents, my
many?
siblings, 30. And then my cousins all came out.
3-0. That's an
Yeah.
expensive trip to
No, it
Vegas.
was,
I hope
man.
you came back with some money. I hope they weren't gambling all your winnings.
No.
All your earnings.
Yeah, no, they weren't gambling, none of mine.
Yeah, but Denzel, your family, your friends,
Yeah.
since the first time they've seen you box, they go, we can't wait to come to Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
We,
100%.
when they, like, the amount of people I meet who came to watch me in Vegas, like, you was in Vegas? They're like, yeah, we was invested from the start. We wanted to go to Vegas. We was at Wembley. Yeah, we were there, but we wanted to go to Vegas.
You fought Badou Jack on the 12th of September 2015. I was there at the MGM Grand. We mentioned it earlier. It was Floyd Mayweather against Andre Berto. It was a huge event because we thought he'd come out from like his 4th retirement at that point. What was your experience fighting for the WBC super middle, wasn't it? WBC.
Yeah,
What was your experience of Vegas like?
That week, I didn't really enjoy it. You know, I didn't enjoy Vegas. I'd boxed in Vegas before, down the card on a Marquez Diaz Golden Boy show, and I'd boxed out in San Jose as a pro as well. Been to Vegas to box as an amateur, but as a pro, it's just got that feel different. In the UK, everyone who's there feels like we're only here because you're the boxers. Whereas when in Vegas, for me, the impression I got was like, you're the boxer, almost like you work for us. A steward wouldn't let me in the change room because I didn't have the right wristband on. I'm fighting in an hour. Like, can I get in there?
Crazy.
So, I mean, maybe they're just a stippler for the rules. But
You got any advice for Denzel about his... Obviously, he said he doesn't want to stay at British level. What advice would you give to Denzel about his move into world level right now?
like, I mean...
Again.
I don't think he needs it, but he's... you keep in that belief. You know, you're saying you take the rematch tomorrow, and you can see in the way you say it, in the
And
way
you carry
look,
yourself, you believe it.
You believe it.
Yeah.
The one problem that I think I had, which you don't have, and it's not that, it's just I was walking around with like sort of feeling sorry for myself. When I lost my first world title, I was, I should be a world champion. I haven't got my belt. It will come. It will come.
Was this the IBF? Or
this was the first fight against Froch, WBA.
Yeah, it was
and
stopped
IBF.
prematurely slightly. You know, you were in trouble in the moment, but Howard Foster did step in. I think it was slightly premature, which you campaigned for with the IBF.
It was completely premature. Though.
You won your case, all right.
We won the case. It was the worst
fought in front of
stoppage in history.
80,000 afterwards. You made millions.
No, but
you're
the
a huge superstar.
The point, Gareth, is that like I had to go back to square one and be like, right, you need to rebuild properly. Whereas I was sort of, the analogy I give is I climbed Everest, I got 15 feet from the top, and I lingered and died, right? Instead of going, and I'm going around going,
you slipped.
I'm going, I've climbed Everest, but you haven't climbed Everest. And if you stay up here, you will die. So go to the bottom, recharge, and then go again. And then I did that. I went to the bottom, and then I did get to the top.
But you didn't die because there are a lot of bodies on Everest, by the way. And I say this sincerely now. There obviously are a lot of bodies on Everest who don't make it to the top. You didn't. You slid back down. You climbed up again. You slid back down. You climbed up again. Listen, Denzel, it's so pleasurable having you in the studio. Will you do another section with us?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, hold it there, guys. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT.
on 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on your mobile and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.
talkSPORT.
Good evening, I'm Kane Reeves. A day of no VAR drama for Arsenal has seen them go back level on points with Man City at the top of the Premier League. Arteta's side easing past Burnley 3-1.
We played really well. I think we're really dominant, really putting pressure to Burnley right from the beginning, and I love the team's spirit and how hungry they are to play again after 3 days and all the games that we have played.
They made the most of Tottenham falling off the pace by conceding twice in stoppage time at Wolves.
Slides it through, Lamina is there, they won it! It's stoppage time! So many times they've been denied right at the end, but Wolverhampton Wanderers are going to win the game!
Mario Lemina's winner to make it 2-1 coming in the 97th minute. Now, Manchester United have eased the pressure on Erik ten Hag. Just a Victor Lindelof goal, his first since 2020, enough to get past Luton. But why are United strikers not scoring?
I don't think it's particularly a confidence thing, because Rasmus Højlund scored 5 goals in the Champions League. So he came full of confidence into this game. And it will come.
Newcastle's injury crisis deepens. Miguel Almiron the latest to join their lengthy list in their 2-0 defeat at Bournemouth, which has lifted the Cherries out of the bottom 3. Everton made it 4 games unbeaten to move 8 clear of the relegation zone, winning 3-2 at Crystal Palace. Now, Wayne Rooney still hasn't got a win as Birmingham manager. He watched his side lose 3-1 at Sunderland in the Championship. And Leicester, they're not running away with the league now. Their 1-0 defeat at Middlesbrough means they're now level on points with Ipswich, who beat Swansea 3-2. And Harry Kane has broken a Bundesliga record. He's got the most goals after 11 games with his double in Bayern Munich's 4-1 win over Hoffenheim, taking his tally to 17 in the league. More reaction to a manic day in the Premier League is on the talkSPORT website.
talkSPORT News.
Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner Matt Twist says 9 officers have been injured during demonstrations in central London today, 2 of them needing hospital treatment. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Palestinian officials say a newborn baby has died and dozens more are at risk after a hospital has run out of power.
Online, DAB Digital Radio, and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Get in the ring and go the distance with Fight Night.
The fight starts now!
With Gareth A. Davies.
I don't think he's going to get up!
On talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Him, St George Groves, full of fire tonight, and British middleweight champion Denzel Bentley. Still to come, thank you, Denzel, for joining us. Still to come, we'll hear from Katie Taylor and light heavyweight Dan Aziz. But first, it's nearly 10 years since Froch and Groves, the first time. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT.
You're gonna cry? You're gonna cry, aren't you? Don't cry. I can hear your voice breaking.
Have a look at these belts, because as close as you get into a Saturday night, you're getting absolutely flattened.
I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna meet you, centre of the ring, first round, and I'm gonna hit you with 2 right hands.
He's struggling with the range and nailed! George Groves, timing perfect! Froch on the floor!
I think Froch needs to finish it here.
It really does. Groves is in trouble. He's taken another one and another, and Howard Foster has stopped it. Wow, that is going to be controversial.
Eddie, maybe we'll get the rematch and sort it out somewhere else.
The rematch is the one that makes sense. I think everyone would love to see it.
Well, this is it. Everything for a reason. It was a stonewall robbery the first time.
Lightning doesn't strike twice. It couldn't have got any better for George Groves, and it couldn't have got any worse for me, and I still won.
From Wembley Stadium, the rematch the world has been waiting for.
Got hit there, Jim, and a sudden explosion. George Groves got one back though. Oh, good shot. Groves with a left hand, as he promised. Digs in deep, sucks it up, and Gilson. Wow! Right hand has destroyed Groves. It's waved up already. What a shot! You will not see a more explosive finish than that. Someday love will find
We're live on YouTube at the moment, so if you're listening on the radio, please go and plug in your visual as well as your audio, because you can see us as well as hear us for the first time tonight on Fight Night. George, hearing that, the two fights, of course, Manchester, 23rd, the 11th, 2013, and then the 31st of the 5th, 2014, 80,000 people at Wembley. We all watched that night. We were there, of course. What does that bring back for you? Tell us about the memories.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I was bitterly... I mean, I am bitterly disappointed to not win, but something that I was really upset about, maybe even a bit ashamed of, definitely embarrassed of. But as time's gone on, and essentially once I've fulfilled my dream of becoming a world champion, forgave my old comrade Carl Froch, and something I'm proud of now, Gareth. You know, just 10 years on and people are still talking about it. We've got a bit of history. We've got a bit of legacy, which is a word that I always shied away from whilst fighting. But no, it's something to be proud of. It was a monumental moment, and you know, we done our bit, and probably I done a fair share of the donkey work as well. Did the heavy lifting, managed to entertain, and ultimately that's why we get into boxing, you know, and people have, and I certainly had, a tumultuous relationship with the fans, ups and downs. Sometimes I'm with them, sometimes I'm not, but ultimately is a spectator sport. It's a sport that thrives when people are interested.
Sport of opinions as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Always a sport of opinions.
Yeah, most definitely.
Can I ask you, Denzel, for you, obviously that's 10 years. How do you feel boxing's changed over the decade since that great fight that night?
It's changed a lot, especially the fact that sold 80,000. That was very unusual back then. Like, I think
it shifted the paradigm at the time, didn't it?
It did. So I think since then we've moved on. There's been big venues. People are obviously asking for more money than you would have got paid back then. I mean, I think that was one of the first fights in the UK to be that big. I mean, 80,000, that was...
For a long time. We've had big stadium fights before that in the 50s and the 60s and the 30s, but this was the biggest that we'd had. Yeah, correct.
In a long time. I mean, I remember that year was like the year I just turned amateur, so I just got into boxing. So I missed the first fight and I watched the second one. So like, to me, it was kind of crazy because it's like, oh, big fights happen in the UK. So... But it's shifted since then, and now, you know, it's grown since then. So, of course, George Groves and Carl Froch have contributed to that a lot.
But we've also saw from that moment, we saw the emergence of Anthony Joshua. I think he was on the undercard that night, wasn't he?
He was
at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon with about 600 people watching. I think Katie Taylor might have even... No, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I can't remember. But it was a long time ago. It was just after those Olympians from 2012 were coming through. We then got the emergence of Joshua with the stadiums. We got the emergence of Tyson Fury with the stadiums, his resurge and regeneration. So the big events went back to heavyweight boxing, didn't they? They definitely went back to heavyweight boxing after that, because it was an anomaly that we got a super middleweight fight that was so enormous. But it did spawn those tournaments that Wasserman put together with backing from the Middle East as well.
Yeah, so... I mean, it was probably the one who came out best out of the Wembley fight was a chap called Eddie Hearn. He was he promoted himself exquisitely well, and off the back of that, you know, he's got he's got the Olympic champion. He's got 2 Olympic champions. He's got Luke Campbell and he's got Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua, of course, doesn't put a step wrong. You know, Fury goes and does some good work and rips the belts away from Klitschko when no one could, and then tests positive and has to, you know, other problems, and the belts scatter, and once resurfaces for Joshua. Probably part of the plan was that it came a little bit earlier than what they had sort of marked out for him, Denzel. What do you think? But then he goes and he wins it, doesn't he? And it's the Joshua show from there on in.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It was a bit earlier than they'd expected. But it's a world title shot. You can't turn it down. They probably felt like Charles Martin was a easy champion at that point. If we don't get him, we're going to get someone more difficult. So that's why they went on to keep fighting that level of opponents after them. And I was like, these are the guys who fought if we didn't win it anyway.
You're both a little bit critical of the heavyweight division at the moment, okay?
Yeah.
Is boxing 10 years on, Denzel, is is it in a better place or a worse? This is a very broad question, and you could answer it in different nuance and different layers. But in a simple terms, is it in a better or worse place than 2013?
I think it could possibly be in a better place.
You think it possibly is in a better place?
Yeah, in the next 10 years, yeah. I think it could be. I mean,
No, from 2013 to now.
Oh, to now? Oh, yeah, it's in a better place, definitely. Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
George?
Yeah, I mean, so Anthony Joshua was a crossover star. You know, he was bigger than boxing, and there's boxing, there's heavyweight boxing, and he was
correct.
He was the opposite of Tyson Fury, who was sort of the villain, and Joshua was the hero, and like, you know, everyone in this world in show business or whatever, as the British crowd, we like to topple our heroes, and then, you know, out of that, we've got this another guy who, Tyson Fury, comes back. He does a fantastic job of blowing up in weight, losing loads of weight, having a dodgy decision, which is endearing to the fans. I can testament to that. Where he gets the draw against Wilder when he should have won.
You thought he won that in that night?
Yeah, I think I did.
By a couple of rounds, definitely. Well, he won virtually
time.
every round apart from the two he was knocked down in. Simple as that.
Yeah, you know what? You know, we like conspiracies on this show.
Yeah.
Do you think that he was really out when he got dropped in that last round?
I think he banged his head and woke up again.
Or do you think he just? Or do you think it just got a little bit too much for him? Because he comes back from total unconsciousness to look at, but I'm thinking, did he just lay down and go?
No, I think he's an extraordinary.
And I'm not saying he's
fighter.
clever enough to think. I'm not saying he's clever enough to think, oh, this is going to look really good on cameras. But I think he laid down and he thought, what am I doing? And he got up.
No, he's told it. He said he woke up at 5 and he thought,
he tells a fantastic story, Fury.
He does.
Very good storyteller.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good shout,
you're thinking about it, Gareth.
We're thinking about what?
You're thinking about what I've just said.
No, I'm not.
Did he really go down or not?
It's an extra.
Do you really think he was out? When he goes down, he's out.
Yeah. Deontay Wilder.
But is he out?
Deontay Wilder's knocked out 95% of his opponents. Tyson Fury has an extraordinary chin and extraordinary recovery capabilities. Yeah? And he gets up.
He's got up. He's always got up to win. He's got 7 times now, I think.
I don't think he's acting in that moment, no. I think he's...
But does he go down heavy? Does he ever go down heavy? Because he always gets up.
I think that Wilder one was heavy. That last. In
the last fight.
Yeah, no, in
the first fight.
Even in the last fight,
in the last fight, I thought he went down heavier.
Yeah, like.
But in that first fight, when he goes down, he gets caught. But I think he is.
I know
it's almost
mean.
like he thinks, oh, I've been knocked out because Wilder punches so hard. And then he gets to the floor and he thinks, no,
I'm actually not. Yeah, but that's
fine.
But he might do. I like it. This is aliens and conspiracy theories we're going here again. No, I love it. Maybe Tyson Fury's an ancient alien. You never know. But he has got extraordinary powers of recovery. There's no question about that. And I think that moment, that Undertaker moment, the getting up, because it was the greatest resurrection story in the history, almost in the history of sport, if he'd won that night. But I think
it done better for him that he didn't win.
Exactly.
Yeah,
correct. And then in the end, he comes back in the second fight. And the third fight, which no one wanted because we wanted him to fight Joshua, and Wilder won his arbitration case and forced the fight. And no one wanted it originally. Then there was the COVID problem. They tested positive. Then it was delayed till the October. Everyone wanted to see Fury and Joshua at that point. And you're both alluding to that we were building towards that fight here in the UK. It would have done, I want to say, it would have done 4 million pay-per-view buys if Fury and Joshua had fought at the right time. Like you say, Fury over here, the villain, Joshua whiter than white, the young hipster coming through, loved because of his Olympic Games.
Yeah.
I just think it would have been the biggest event we've ever seen here.
Yeah, well, I don't dispute that. You know, it's heavy. It's boxing, Gareth, and there's heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, I think that's a good statement there still.
And Fury's a good storyteller. He creates interest, and Joshua, as a byproduct, is interesting.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for joining us for this third section. Sorry. Yeah. Last question to you, Denzel.
Yeah.
Next Saturday, of course, Manchester Arena. You're defending the British middleweight title against Nathan Heaney. We're there for talkSPORT, myself and the team. Here we go, sell, baby, sell. Why should people tune in to talkSPORT to see you next weekend, Denzel?
It's going to be an amazing atmosphere. I've never been in a boring fight, so you know it's going to be exciting. I'm explosive. I got power. Heaney's a decent fighter. He's tough. So
you're making a statement, aren't you?
I'm definitely making a statement. I mean, that's all I do, man.
Thank you, brother, for coming on tonight. Love your company. I'm
me
absolutely convinced you will be a world champion.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Sooner rather than later. Denzel Bentley. Next up, Katie Taylor right here on talkSPORT.
Hello, I'm Billy Pickles with the fixtures. Thursday night Euro 2024 qualifiers. Georgia meets Scotland. Why's my granddaughter going to Scotland? That's bonkers. Brilliant build-up from 4:30. Kick-off live at 5 on talkSPORT 2.
Thursday night Euro 2024 qualifiers. Georgia meets Scotland on talkSPORT 2.
Oh, it's a country.
Yes, George Groves, listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Now we got the banging tunes. Ahead of her monumental rematch with Chantel Cameron, I spoke to Olympic gold medalist and two-time world champion Katie Taylor to discuss just how far women's boxing has come.
The growth of women's boxing over the last few years has been absolutely incredible. And back then, you're talking about the odd fighter. Christy Martin was phenomenal. Deirdre Goberty, Layla Ali. They're just there wasn't the strength and depth that we have right now in women's boxing. But those were the pioneers of our sport as well, and that's why I have so much respect for those girls that went before me. I don't think women's boxing would be in the position now that it's in today without those kind of girls. And so they paved the way for us, and it's amazing that the growth and looking at the progress over the last few years has been incredible.
When people cite you as the person
who has been a giant pathfinder for everyone else, a pioneer. How does that make you feel? You're incredibly modest. How does it make you feel inside? Does it spur you on to do more?
I think I'm very, very grateful for those comments. It is very satisfying now that I can have an influence on these young fighters coming up. But yeah, I definitely want the legacy to continue. I'm definitely not done yet, and I think even with this rematch coming up, this could be the greatest night of my career so far to date. And so this, I just love the fact that I am involved in these big, huge mega fights, and this is the stuff that every fighter I think dreams of, the headline a huge show, and this is what it's all about.
As well as being a great fighter and someone in the era, are you a big fan of boxing itself as well?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of boxing. Every big fight I'm tuning into, and I love watching the old fighters as well. I was only watching Roy Jones this week. I'm on a Roy Jones craze at the moment, just watching all these fights at the moment, and I think it's a huge. It's really undervalued, just watching the old fights back, and yeah. So I would say I'm a huge fan of the sport as well.
I know you are, because I remember being in New York, and I don't think I've seen you blush much, but I remember when I was interviewing you, and we sat down in a couple of chairs. It was at Madison Square Garden, and you just happened to sit next to Floyd Mayweather. Do you remember that night?
Yes.
And you went bright red in a lovely way, and like he was all over you. He was all over you. He knew exactly who you were. And like I just had to leave you two because that Mayweather took over. Do you love those moments?
Yeah, they're really pinch me moments, aren't they? These are legends in the sport, and Floyd Mayweather, arguably the best of our generation and a genius in the ring. He's every single one of these fights are masterclasses, and so yeah, when you're sitting next to a star like him, it's like, wow, this is one of those moments where I just can't believe it's happening.
On that note, obviously one of his rivals, Manny Pacquiao, one of the great phrases I've ever heard him say is, I was asking him why he did boxing and why he carried so much for the people of the Philippines. He carried the flag in the Olympics. Armies used to stop fighting in the Philippines when he had an event because everyone put down whatever trouble they were causing with each other because they all wanted to see Pac-Man fight, and again, a very powerful thing that he told me, and I'll never forget it, and it's in the movie that was made about him by Leon Gast, the late Leon Gast, who was one of the makers of the When We Were Kings on the Rumble in the Jungle that won the Oscar in the mid-90s. I said to Manny, why do you carry on fighting? And he said, because it's God's will. Yeah. Now, obviously, I know you're a deeply religious person with extremely deep and affectionate faith in yourself. Do you feel your fighting is part of God's will?
Yeah, I certainly believe that that God put his gift in me, and that's why I always want to honor and glorify his name every single time I step into the ring. And I'm so grateful for this career that he's given me and this life that he's given me as well. It's one of the reasons I train so hard as well, because I know this is a gift from God, and every single day I'm training, I know that it's pleasing him, pleasing God. So it's one of the reasons I take this job so seriously. I love my sport. I'm so passionate about it, and yeah, I certainly believe that this is a gift from God.
Is that why there's these headlines this week where, again, it's kind of like it has a religious theme to it? I'm sorry for pressing you if you've been having interviews all afternoon, but I wanted to go deep with you because I love talking deep with you because you are such a deep person. And I know we don't always see that, because you're very contained. That resurrection is in my DNA, you're quoted as saying, for this return match. I think a very difficult return match as well. It was a very close fight last time in this return match with Chantel Cameron. Resurrection is in my DNA.
Please explain.
Well, the Jesus himself was resurrected, so the resurrected king can resurrect people as well. I see it all the time, in terms of people who are down and out on their luck, and their life is so tough for them, and God turns their life around. That's resurrection life right there. And I feel like this is not the end for me. I definitely feel that that's not the way God operates, and I just have a huge faith in that the resurrected king can resurrect me. And so yeah, I definitely feel like this is going to be a great turning point in my career.
Well, it was amazing. Katie Taylor, always an absolute pleasure. Resurrection is in my DNA. She's got to make it a different fight against Chantel Cameron this time.
Absolutely, Gary. And I think it's not only one of the most exciting fights in female boxing for me. It could be the most exciting fight, because it's Katie Taylor who's now going to have to reinvent 37, with all her achievements, all her accolades. Yeah. And no one, for the first time ever, no one's really going to be picking her to win.
No one's picking her to win.
And she's in there with Chantel Cameron, who
is a tank.
Yeah.
I mean that in the right way, by the way. It's calling a woman a tank, but she is a tank of a fighter.
She's solid.
Yeah.
She don't move her head because she don't need to. She just walks through punches. She just walks through, so Katie Taylor, she's got to change it up. She's got to be different. But the thing with Katie Taylor is, I'm expecting her to be able to.
She did it against Delphine Pursoon, made the adjustments, didn't she?
To make them adjust. Whether it's enough, and whether obviously Chantel Cameron can make them adjustments, which she will have to be better the next time round. But because Chantel Cameron was able to make Katie Taylor fight her fight, the only way Katie Taylor wins is if she makes Chantel Cameron fight her fight.
And what is that, George? I know I've got my views on it. What's your view?
It's boxing. She's just boxing. It's only 2-minute rounds.
Move.
So it's not sticker moves and running on your bike, but you got to finish the exchanges, timing, and you got to break out and give away no free shots.
Yeah.
Because Cameron will just keep marching on, keep pressing on, and just will keep punching. I was in the gym with the McGuigans when she joined, and I know that there was a split, and then she's going her other way, and she's doing really well underneath her new training team. But the point I just want to make is that Shane McGuigan and Barry McGuigan were in the gym, and they were like, this girl's going all the way. And I was like, really? I got to be honest, at this point, I hadn't seen a lot of female boxing. I didn't know a lot about female boxing. Didn't know who the competition was. But like, she was going a long way, and one day she's going to fight and beat Katie Taylor. And I was like, really? They were like, we believe it. And they did a fantastic job with her. She hadn't put her foot wrong. She was unbeaten when she left them, and then since then has just carried on that route. Brilliant fighter.
Absolutely, and a brilliant woman. I think, George, my last thing on this before we go to break is that Katie should have forced that fight at lightweight, not light welter, and it might have given her an advantage to make Cameron cut the weight. Even though she's going to be the lightweight world champion at the end of it, even if she loses, I just think making Cameron lose that weight might have helped her a little bit in the fight. That's my view on it. I don't know if you agree with me.
No, I agree, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
there's weight divisions for a reason, and making that, and Chantel is kind of powerfully built, just making her lose that weight might have just, Chantel's claimed the whole way along that I'm actually better at lightweight than I am at light welter.
Well, I think she has fought at lightweight, at periods of her career, and
Katie it'd be better, I think.
But it would be better for Katie because it's
she
more of a natural.
She didn't put a dent in Cameron at 140 in that last fight, did she?
Yeah, Taylor's never been a big puncher anyway, so. And I can see why she's kept it at the same weight. She's like, no, if I change the weight and I win, then people are going to say it's because of the weight. I want to go out and show everyone I'm the better fighter than Chantel Cameron.
November the 25th, Dublin. That's live on DAZN, and we will be covering it from here in the studio, I imagine, because we aren't there, as far as I know. Up next on Fight Night is European light heavyweight champion, another friend of the show, another fantastic fighter with amazing energy, Dan Aziz. Don't forget, you can watch us right now on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. No, it's not Fright Night, it's Watch Night. Listen to us, watch us. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Drive. Weekday afternoons from 4 on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Drive with me, Darren Bent.
And me, Andy Goldstein. Sports radio that's guaranteed to go the distance.
Move up through the gears with all the day's sports.
Daily football debates, plus a bootload of banter.
Watch the lights. Release the clutch. Drive!
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. Weekday afternoons from 4 on talkSPORT.
The fastest football on the way home.
That's going to come back to haunt me, that one, isn't it?
And if you can take it, maybe you could become a little bit of a star. And Dan Aziz has been brilliant tonight.
Most importantly, we have to start giving Dan credit. He is in the top 10 of the world.
Dan Aziz on the verge here of taking him out in the 7th round. He's got to throw something back. And what a performance!
Dan Aziz wants to be on that stage, wants those tests, wants those challenges.
Ain't come up no easy way. You know what I mean?
And that could be it, and it is indeed it. The referee waves it over. Big right hand from Super Dan Aziz has closed the show.
Good evening, you're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. We're live streaming, by the way, tonight, so you can watch us on the talkSPORT YouTube channel, myself and the one and only St. George Groves, who's behaved impeccably tonight throughout nearly an hour and a half. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've never worked together before. We have in the industry. And it's absolutely brilliant to have you with us tonight, George. Joining us on the phone is the one and only Dan Aziz, the European light heavyweight champion. Obviously was slated to fight Joshua Buatsi, but there have been injuries and the fight date is yet to be announced. Good evening, Mr. Aziz, the bee's knees.
Yes, how's it going, Gareth? You all right?
I'm very well. I'm having to control this this big super middleweight who's in the studio tonight, St. George Groves. Do you remember his career?
Yeah, he's not no super middle anymore.
Oh, easy. What is he then?
I don't know, man.
He's a larger-than-life character, isn't he, Dan? How you doing, mate? Good to hear from you. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I feel good. I'm getting better and better each and every day.
Perfect. I mean, we're all eager for some news.
We love this fight,
and it was horrible. It must be horrible for you. What you're having to postpone a fight, that close to the deadline to fight night. And but we're wishing you well, man. We want you back in action, back to full fitness real soon.
No, that's it, man. When it first happened, I was like gutted. I just, I didn't know how to even control my emotions. Like you said, so close to the fight day. But yeah, as time went on, I'm getting better and better, and just coming to terms with it, and everything for a reason. And hopefully, we'll get an even better fight.
Were you disappointed, Dan, that there were conspiracy theories around? They hadn't sold enough tickets and the injury was made up, and these things do happen sometimes in boxing, but were you disappointed about the veracity or the questioning of the veracity of why the fight was called off?
I weren't disappointed. I was pissed off.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I was pissed off, obviously, the whole situation. My emotions were high and everything, so yeah, just those kind of comments didn't really take too well with me, but yeah, it happens, man. It comes with the game. You get these kind of comments and these maybe conspiracies, but I know what happened, and even my opponent Josh, if he knows me, he'll know that it's not something that I would do. It was a fight I was very, very much looking forward to, and I'm still looking forward to it. But yeah, it was just nonsense. But I think it's just getting caught up in between the crossfire between promoters and whatnot. But yeah, I don't want to be the one to have to take the bullet. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. In when it comes to these promoters having digs with one another and whatnot. So yeah,
go ahead, George.
Dan, we live in this era now where fighters can actually contact each other. Now, you've got a relationship to a degree, I suppose, with Josh, and even if you didn't, you could just message him on Instagram or whatnot. Was there a worry that he might go in a different direction? Like, what was that like for you? You think, he's either going to just get another fight, and am I going to get my chance at this big fight? It's a big breakout fight for you.
Yeah.
Were you conspiring together to make sure that you get it over, make sure that you get a new date set and there's no more problems, arising as you say, these promoters just getting in the way.
Yeah, no, well, I could understand from his point. Obviously, he's not the one that got the injury, so he's been training hard, and for the fight to just be taken away from him like that. But I was nervous. I was thinking, shoot, like, is he just gonna fight somebody else? Would the WBA maybe put somebody else, like, go down the list? Like, would I lose my shot? Like you said, it's a breakout fight. There's a lot on the line. Like, whoever wins could potentially fight for a world title next. And yeah, man, like it's so I wasn't. So many things were going through my mind. George, yeah, I don't know, man. At that time, it weren't really a good time for me. Like.
So let me just kind of cut to the quick. So, how is the injury? Talk us through it. And are you hearing any? So, what are the doctors saying? How long will it keep you out? And what are the doctors saying about it? And also, are there talks to get this signed and over the line for a date ahead that we can get very excited about again, Dan?
Yeah, I'm not too sure on exact dates, but they're saying very early next year. We was hoping maybe the end of this year, but I'm not too sure. We should have some news in the next week or so. And yeah, like I'm healing very, very well. The doctors are actually quite surprised in how quick I'm recovering and so forth. So everything's looking positive, so to speak. Like everything's looking very positive on the up, and yeah.
Can I ask you? We've got obviously George and Carl Froch are two names that are indelibly linked and will be forever, like salt and pepper, Ali and Frazier, bacon and eggs. And they will be associated forever because of what happened between them, and they become friends. Is it weird when it's the other way around with you and Joshua Buatsi? You were friends, you spent loads of time together, and now you're best of enemies, if I can call it that. Psychologically, do you have to go to a different place than other fights with other people?
I'll be honest with you, Gareth. If I say, I got to, really tune into this place and that, I don't know until I get there, Gareth. I won't bluff you and tell you this, that, and the third. Until I'm there, I won't know.
But you had a bit of tension between yourselves at the press conference when you faced off. Like you could feel there was an electricity there. There was a change. Did you feel that change?
Yeah, everyone was telling me about a change, but I just wanted to get a few things off my chest. That was all. So I think maybe people seeing that and us going back and forth a little bit might have surprised people. But to me, yeah, it's normal WhatsApp group chat setting.
Have you guys? There's so many British light heavyweight fighters that are really good. Have you got a little WhatsApp chat that you guys are all in?
No.
And you're all just sending trash to each other every day.
I love it.
I'm sure we have loads of mutual group chat settings. So yeah.
That light heavyweight division on this show, George. I mean, George isn't on here all the time, but Dan, you've been on the show many times. You're a friend of the show. You've been in here. We talk about that light heavyweight division the whole time. The two of you there, Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, Callum Smith, Craig Richards. I could go on and on and on. It's an extraordinary division. It's ripe for a tournament, isn't it? Frankly, and like, if we can get Saudi Arabia to come up with a tournament, would you be backing that or not?
Oh, 100%, 100 million %. They got the funds for it. And yeah, like you said, the names that you just mentioned, it'll just make for
we mentioned 5 or 6 or 7 there. You only need 8. So if you got 12, it's amazing. Yeah. But you could easily make 12 in that division.
Yeah. You'd have him at Saudi, I reckon.
I don't even think you need 8. Even if you just had 3 good, fighters in any division and they all mix it up, you're going to have
Well, George is being cynical about Saudi in a way. Not being cynical, but saying... But the point being, who else is going to come up with the money to create a tournament for all these guys to fight each other? And we find out who the number one at £175 is.
Hey, no, it could be Saudi, but I think, I like the tournament idea. I like
You
the
did, it was
tournament
amazing.
format. I done it, and
The
I didn't
Muhammad
do
Ali
it.
tournament. Where did that money come from? It was through the backers at Wasserman, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, me and Eubank had good purses.
Yeah.
But also, we sold out the Manchester Arena.
Oh, it was an amazing night, mate. I was there. It was amazing.
We done record numbers on ITV pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So the fight washed his face, and the same will happen if these guys get in with each other.
I completely agree. It's frustrated me for about, and not just me, but it's frustrated fans for 2 years. There's so much. It's a talent-rich division, isn't it?
I was at the studios with Craig Spider Richards as news was breaking that Dan Aziz had potentially had a postponement injury, and like it was, no one can tell Craig Richards at this point, but I'm just thinking there's so many fighters here in this division. They can all fight each other. They can all fight each other multiple times.
And you don't know who's the number one as well. Yeah, I mean, I know Beterbiev is the number one at the moment, and Bivol's the number two. Dan, we've got to go.
Yes.
Just give us an indication of, if you were to put your finger on it, when will it be? Will it be a January fight?
Yeah, if I could put a finger on it, January. Definitely.
And what are you going to do to Joshua Buatsi when you get him in the ring?
I'm going to be victorious, and I'm going to give you guys a great show as well.
Great stuff, Dan. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Back with me.
Skye Nicholson up next here on Fight Night on talkSPORT.
Total Knockout Radio. Fight Night on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
Proudly fighting out of Queensland, New South Wales, Australia. Here is the 2020 Olympian, the Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and the reigning and undefeated Commonwealth featherweight champion, Skye Nicholson.
Down goes Davies. As we close things out here in the 6th and final round, Skye Nicholson has won every round.
Honestly, if I show 20% of what I've been doing in the gym...
And the new.
And the new.
Another banging tune you're listening to here on Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Davis. St. George Groves in the studio with me, and about to be joined, as we are, by the WBC interim featherweight champion, Skye Nicholson. I don't know your ring sobriquet, Skye. Do you have a nickname in the ring? Destroyer? the Beast? What are you?
No, I don't really have one. None of those really suit me, so I've kind of just stuck with my own name.
So, can we think of one, George, now?
By the end of the show, we will have a ring alias. Is that what we say?
Yeah, ring alias, ring sobriquet.
I mean, that sounds even better. Maybe you could be sobriquet.
No,
Skye sobriquet.
No. We can't call her Skye alias Nicholson. But I think she's the outlaw. I think she's the Aussie outlaw. Anyway, enough of that before I get slapped by both of you. We're live, of course, streaming on our YouTube channel tonight for the first time on Fight Night. Skye, thank you so much for joining us. Huge admirer of your work. You're facing Lucy Wildheart on the 25th of November on the Dublin card as part of the Chantel Cameron-Katie Taylor rematch. You must be really looking forward to this.
I am. I'm really excited for this. It's 2 weeks today. Yeah, these are the types of fights I've been asking for, like, since the start. So I feel like I'm in a really good fight that people can get excited about, and I think we're going to see the real Skye Nicholson in a fight like this, in a real fight. So no, I'm really excited to kind of to stamp my name on this division, show that I'm a real contender for the champ, and that I'm coming for it all. So that's what this fight's about for me.
It's funny, I had Lucy Wildheart in the studio with me for my last Battle of the Baddest podcast a couple of weeks ago, and she's a very tough, you'll have studied her, she's been in lots of martial arts in her career. She's a very tough girl. She's really looking forward to this. She took a fight, you'll remember this, George, and obviously you'll know about this, Skye, with Michaela Meyer on very short notice, about I think it was 24 or 30 hours notice, Skye, and did very well against Michaela Meyer. What do you know about her? And is this going to be one of those, some boxing, some brawling, some in a phone booth? I just feel like you two are going to go at it in this contest.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really excited for this fight because I do have a lot of respect for Lucy. I think she's a very good athlete. I think she's going to be very fit. She's going to be very game. She's going to be there all night, 100%. I think it's going to be a matter of showing just the levels when it comes to boxing, box IQ, boxing brain. But not only that, I want to show that I can mix it as well. I can fight in the pocket now. Yeah, we've developed my style a lot. We're going to keep doing what I'm good at, but we've added a lot of new tools as well. And I think this is the kind of fight that's going to give me the opportunity to kind of show a bit of everything. And no, I'm really excited for that. I think it's going to be a really good fight for the fans and for women's boxing as well. So yeah, I'm very excited. I can't wait.
Skye, what are the new tools you've been working on? Fighters always do this thing where they leave us in the dark. Tell us, what is it?
I don't want to give away too many secrets, George.
Oh,
my opponent's a friend of the show.
I've got it. Skye with the secrets, Nicholson. There we go. I've got it.
Secret Skye Nicholson.
What have you been developing then in this camp? Let's ask that.
Honestly, just developing more of a pro style. Obviously, I was an amateur boxer for 16 years. I had 150 amateur fights. So I knew I developed a style that was very suited to the amateurs, that won me a lot of fights as an amateur. And basically it's just been about developing my style now to suit the 10 2-minute rounds, which is what we are competing in at the moment. For me, I feel like we've developed my style so that my best rounds are probably the middle to late rounds, which again is different for someone who's usually more of an amateur style. They're usually faster and quicker out the marks. I feel like I'm quite a patient fighter. I like to take my time. I use the first couple of rounds to suss out what they've got, and then as I build in confidence, I know that I've got the tools and the skills to do the business, and then I start to turn up the heat later in the rounds.
Skye the sorceress Nicholson. Then, are you a converted southpaw? Or are you a left-handed southpaw?
I'm very left-handed.
Okay, so have you? I think what you're alluding to as well, and I'm sure George is twigging on this as well, is that. We'll go to the 10 2-minute rounds in a minute, because this is a really interesting debate. What have you been doing to sit down on your punches more than?
I think I've definitely settled my feet a lot more as a pro now. A lot of my sparring partners have noticed that. I'm not always punching and moving now. I choose my moments where I stand my ground and stay in the pocket more, and I actually really enjoy it. I feel like I've got a lot more spiteful now. Even the last couple of spars, like Eddie Lamb, my trainer, he's like, man, I saw the devil in you today. Like he actually can't believe I'm the nice girl that came over from Australia last year. So there's definitely a lot more spite. He kind of likes when I get caught or get hit now, because he sees that switch, and sometimes that's what it takes for me. I think if I'm I don't know, I guess I get stuck in cruise control sometimes, and I just do what I'm good at, and I do what I'm comfortable doing. So
George,
sometimes get clipped a little bit, and I go, oh, it's on now, and you see that change. And no, I'm really excited. I feel like we've made some really good progress in the gym. It started to show a little bit in my last couple of fights, but especially in this camp. So right in good timing for a really good fight against a really good opponent. So November 25th.
So Skye, definitely don't wait to get caught to initiate, the switch to start with. But something I'm wondering, and it would bother me as a fighter, is women's boxing is 10 2-minute rounds now, but Serrano, I believe, boxed 12 threes not that long ago. And, so what are you and your team thinking while you're in camp? Are you thinking, right, well, we can't go all in for 10 twos for the rest of our career? Is there something in the back of your mind thinking soon we're going to move to 3-minute rounds, and that is such a big difference?
Yeah, well, sorry, but they're not though. That was a one-off, wasn't it?
No, but that was a one-off. But I personally think women's boxing one day will be 3-minute rounds, and I don't know if it will be in the very near future, or
but that's a change. The weird thing, Skye, to put this to you, it's a very good point, George. That's a move from 20 minutes to 36.
No, it doesn't need to. I'm not saying maybe not 12 threes is a big jump, but from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, right, will make a massive difference, because it's a totally different fight, isn't it? Even if it was you was preparing for 8 3-minute rounds rather than 10 twos.
I think it's more exciting with 2-minute rounds. 100%. Yeah. Skye, what do you think about 2-minute rounds, 12 twos, and 3-minute rounds that George just brought up?
To be honest with you, I've been very on the fence about it. Honestly, for me personally, whatever the rules are, I think I've got quite a patient style. I think my style actually suits 3-minute rounds. But for the future of women's boxing, I do believe that 2-minute rounds has kept women's boxing exciting.
Correct.
I feel like women's fights steal the show a lot of the time, and it's because of the forced pace of the 2-minute rounds. I don't know if we have the skill and the depth in women's boxing right now for 3-minute rounds to be exciting across the board. I think there's a few fights out there that can be exciting over 3-minute rounds, but I think for a lot of women's boxing, the 2-minute rounds keeps it exciting. But again,
it's a very fair point, Skye, but
Yeah.
You and your style must be thinking, oh, I wish I had 3-minute rounds to set up my attacks, to show. I think you would be an even better fighter over 3-minute rounds than you would over 2-minute rounds. And it's not just you. There's, I've watched Ellie Scotney in the gym and I thought the same about her. And there's loads of female fighters out there I think would be suited to 3 minutes. And I'm just wondering, is it not just good to go with it now? And maybe not straight in at 12 threes. And there might be a little bit of depth in, it might be a bit shallow and you might see some girls get found out. But it's still an emerging sport, isn't it?
No, that's the point, though. It's still a neophyte sport in that way. Skye, we've got a break in a minute. Just tell us what you're going to do. It's a fascinating debate, this, and it will go on and on and on. What are you going to do on the 25th?
On the 25th, you're going to see a spiteful, more aggressive, more well-rounded fighter, and you're going to see end still.
There we go. So we got Skye,
exactly.
Skye, spiteful and still Nicholson. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Skye. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you, George. Well, you're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, online, on your mobile and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.
Talk Sport.
Good evening, I'm Kane Reeves. Kieran Trippier has played down what looked to be an angry confrontation with Newcastle fans after their 2-0 defeat at Bournemouth. He says he just told them there's no need to panic, but Eddie Howe might be panicking about his injury list. He lost another with Miguel Almiron joining it.
Well, I think the only thing that's exposed our squad is the amount of injuries we've had, and we've tried desperately not to be in this situation, but again today we've picked up injuries to a player, you know, Miggy, that we rested in midweek, and then you get the injury, so I don't know. It's we're just going through a very difficult period with injuries, and hopefully the international break can help to a degree.
Bournemouth's win has lifted them out of the bottom three. Luton drop in after their narrow 1-0 defeat at Manchester United. Erik ten Hag will be in the stands for their next game against Everton after getting booked.
So that was about the moment so clear. A throw-in, but it was the second time, and it was so on top of it. It was so clear, obvious, our ball, and yeah. It's that was my remark. Therefore, I got booked.
Mikel Arteta described VAR as beautiful after their 3-1 win against Burnley saw them move level on points with Man City at the top of the table. More reaction to Tottenham's late defeat at Wolves and Everton's win over Crystal Palace is on the talkSPORT website. And Wayne Rooney insists Birmingham City are improving despite another defeat in the Championship. Rooney is still without a win after 5 games in charge with a 3-1 defeat at Sunderland. Well, Leicester, they're not running away with the league after all. They're level on points with Ipswich after losing 1-0 at Middlesbrough, while Ipswich beat Swansea City 3-2.
talkSPORT News.
Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner Matt Twist says 9 officers have been injured during demonstrations in central London today, 2 of them needing hospital treatment. Meanwhile, in Gaza, Palestinian officials say a newborn baby has died and dozens more are at risk after a hospital has run out of power.
Online, DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Get in the ring and go the distance with Fight Night.
The fight starts now.
With Gareth A. Davies.
I don't think he's going to get up.
On talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. We're live streaming so you can see myself and the great St. George Groves.
The great sort.
The great sort, the great eyesore, the pecking over the bones of his life. He hates it tonight. It's just his career as a carcass. No, he was a brilliant world champion at super middleweight. I've had such a fun 2 hours with you tonight, by the way.
But you say that to all the gentlemen in this studio.
Yeah,
You're buttering me up, aren't you?
I do. But anyway, coming up on the last hour, we hear from one of the great young boxers in the sport, Shakur Stevenson. George is with me for the next hour. We're going to speak in a moment to Harlem Eubank, who won last night in Brighton. You were working on the broadcast on Channel 5, George. We'll discuss that. And we will look ahead to Nathan Healy fighting Denzel Bentley, who was in the studio tonight for the British middleweight title that we are live at for talkSPORT next Saturday night, and you can watch us live for the next hour because we're streaming for the first time. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Good evening, Harlem Eubank. Is Harlem Eubank here or not?
How you doing? I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Thank you, Harlem. Yes, I'm fresh from your victory over Timo Schwarzkopf in Brighton last night. George was obviously down there doing the broadcast for Channel 5. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I feel great. Not too many scrapes or bruises. So, all fueled up and I'm feeling good.
The management of the fight from you was very good. You're a beautiful stylist as a boxer. You showed some of your power last night. You finished him in the 11th round, and then you called out Conor Benn. It's something you and I had spoken about quite a lot. Is that the plan from here, to pursue him a weight division above at welterweight?
I think that will be my weight division going forward. After teaming up with Senior as well, he seems keen for me to box at a higher weight class, since I've told him the weight that I'm walking around at, and he's pretty keen for me to box at 147. And during the fight, actually, my legs were cramping up in round 6. It didn't show in the corner. It didn't show the corner work, but I had to get Charlie Beat, my coach, to massage my legs. In round 6, my left calf was seizing up, cramping and spasming, and then throughout the rounds, like different parts of my legs started spasming. So
is that new? Is that new, Harlem? Is that
Yeah, it's the first time. It's the first time it's happened. But you know, I feel like maybe I am growing a little bit, and you know, still putting on my frame, and that's the first time that's happened to me in a fight like that, where it's been that evident from like halfway through a fight. So yeah, I mean, it was.
It's not ideal, is it?
Has that happened to you before, George? Has that happened to you before in fights?
I don't
Cramping
think
the calves?
so. No, I can't remember.
Manny Pacquiao used to get it a lot.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And Freddie Roach be massaging him in the corner, do you
Yeah,
reckon?
who was it? Yeah, the team would be, not necessarily Freddie Roach, but he used to have problems with the calves seizing up. But he had calves like big babies' heads. Yeah,
and so has Harlem Eubank. So
yeah, exactly.
You're in good company, Harlem. It was a brilliant performance from you, I thought, and a statement performance, because you stopped a guy who looks sort of unstoppable, and you dropped him heavy early on. I think I haven't got my notes with me, but I think it was maybe round third or fourth. Third round, and you know, you didn't empty the tank. You didn't make any mistakes from there. It was a really good clinical performance, and then you had that one punch power, that equalizer power that you displayed to end the fight. I mean, is it your most satisfying win yet?
I think so. I think I went out to box, showed that I can box early, and when he wanted to come in and engage, I showed him that if he wants to get past the jab, then we can fight as well. And I wanted to establish my power, and I knew that he was durable, and he's a guy that hadn't been stopped before, so I wasn't looking to try and stop him. But the openings that were there, I was looking to take them and land with force.
I think you're, as I said at the top of the interview with you, that I thought the way you managed the fight was the most impressive. You know, your artistry was beautiful to watch as well, and your patience throughout the fight. No, it really was. But what about the satisfaction of bringing big time boxing? It looked like a great atmosphere and a decent crowd there in Brighton, bringing that back since the first time that your uncle had fought there in the 90s.
It was a little bit different. It was a nice setup in there, nice big ring, good audience, nice atmosphere, and they came early and stayed pretty much, kept that atmosphere till the end really. So it was a really good night of boxing from start to finish, and I got the cherry on top at the end.
What was Senior's make of the fight? I can imagine he's a hard man to please, Harlem. Was he happy with it afterwards?
Yeah, he was. He loved it. He said because people were saying, do you want to stop this guy to make a statement? And Senior was saying, you don't want to stop this guy. You want to show everyone what you've been practicing for the last 11 years. And and that's what I got a chance to do over the 11 rounds, and then. I got to pull it out at the end and get the cherry on top in the stoppage.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I like about you at the moment is that, and we've again talked about this a few times, how you've walked out of the shadows and things are lining up for you. 4 fights in 2022. You've had 3 now in 2023. You're growing steadily. Praise to and rest in peace your father, by the way. I know you were emotional afterwards thinking about that. I could see it in you. It must have felt very satisfying to do that for your dad as well.
Definitely. It's been, difficult times for the family, and it's nice that, we've kind of grouped together and it helps to process it. And we know that these type of events, we're doing the family proud, my dad and my cousin as well. Like these are the times that we would really celebrate together. So yeah, that's motivation going forward.
Yeah, well done, Harlem. So we got to get into it. Conor Benn's name has been chucked about.
Get your license, Conor. Come and fight me.
Yeah. So you're trying to jump the gun ahead of cousin Chris, maybe, and get in there before him. And we've seen Conor come back, and he says he'll happily have both. Was it both on the same night, or he'll have Chris first and you second?
It's just gibberish, and he's not taking it seriously. I think he wants the fantasy fight.
But has there been like any serious discussions? I know Wasserman Boxing, who you with, they work with everyone, all the leading promoters. So is it just throwing the name out there and see if it catches fire, or is there a process to get it? Because obviously you've got to move up a weight division as well. Would there be an idea of having a fight first before going into a Benn fight? Of course, he's got to get his license if that is the case.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get his license. I'd be happy to go straight into that fight, depending on when he gets his license. But yeah, I'm happy to go straight into that. If he needs to delay it, and get his license, then I'll have a fight in between. But yeah, I'm keen for that fight, and at 147, it makes the most sense.
Can I ask you my view, and I want George's view on this as well? I do see your cousin Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn without the weight cuts. George is a man sitting who's fought Chris Eubank. He's very physically strong. George was a big super middleweight as well. Yeah. Conor is not a big welterweight in my view, and in size-wise, there's weight divisions for a reason. I think it's a very, very tough night for Conor Benn against your cousin.
It's just not a close fight. It's not a matchup that would turn out close. It's a fantasy fight that wouldn't play out the way that the public's being led it will play out. So I think the fair fight is at the same weight division. Chris would annihilate Conor Benn.
What do you think, George? What do you think, George?
Yeah,
mismatch.
Well, Conor Benn, I feel like there's still a question mark over him.
He's not fought at world level, either.
No, he hasn't.
No.
But there was question marks over Chris Eubank Jr. not that long ago. I thought he was, for want of a better word, I thought he was sort of finished, a bit washed up, punch resistance had gone. With that fight against Liam Smith where he just sort of got wiped out, I thought, either the weight's getting to him now or
he had a bad weight cut doing the ghost weight cut and he was still affected.
Yeah, and sometimes, that you can get it wrong. And I think he's proved that whatever he did that time, he got wrong.
Yeah.
He's now working with Bomac, who's obviously working with all the top fighters. And, he got his camp right and he boxed really well in the rematch. So I think up at middleweight, I can't really make a case for Conor Benn. I think, there's weight class for a reason, as they always say. And if Chris Eubank Jr. is in shape, then I think he beats him. But I'll tell you a fight that I'd probably like to see a little bit more. Harlem Eubank
against Conor Benn. We've said it live on air. Harlem, we've got to go to break. It's great to see you as always. Congratulations again last night. Rock on Brighton and you.
Hey, great speaking to both of you.
Cheers, brother. Thank you very much. You're listening to Fight Night and talkSPORT with William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18+, begambleaware.org.
NFL Live, the Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots.
Somersaults into the end zone.
Tomorrow afternoon from 2 on talkSPORT 2.
You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth A. Davis. In the studio with me, St. George Groves, or George Groves as he is now, the Saint, well, you know, the former super middleweight champion of the world. Hello.
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 We've had a good night, haven't we?
We've had a very good night, Gareth.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All
What's
right.
your ring name again?
The Angel. The Angel. Or the
Saint
Warlock.
and the
Or
Angel.
the Warlock. Or the best one of all, which I love, the Kung Fu Panda.
Right.
And I'll throw the head kick when we finish the show later on. But Adam Catterall joins us now from UFC 295 in New York. Oh, it's a very busy New York in the background. Adam, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, man. I am in the Mecca that is Madison Square Garden. I've just arrived at the arena. So I apologise if the music is currently drowning out everything I say. But you know what these big UFC events are like, Gareth. They're a little bit hectic early doors. It's party time.
Lovely. Well, the big focus for British interest is the interim heavyweight title, of course, involving Tom Aspinall, someone we love and respect. And if he could do this and become the third person in the UK, from the UK, with Michael Bisping and Leon Edwards to hold at least a share of the world title and a heavyweight tonight against Sergei Pavlovich, it will be astronomical for British MMA.
It'd be gigantic. I mean, we saw the impact when Michael won and became champion in 2016, and obviously what Leon did a couple of years back at Salt Lake City has absolutely pushed the sport and British interest in MMA to the next level. Tonight, as we know in heavyweight boxing, when we have British champions, it all filters down from there, and there's nothing better in the sport of MMA to have a heavyweight champion. Okay, maybe not a full champion, because we know that the original fight tonight was supposed to be John Jones and Stipe Miocic. That fight fell off through injury. So this is an interim title, but it absolutely puts the winner of tonight, and hopefully it is Tom, at the front of the queue to maybe fight one of those legends next year.
And a brilliant kind of resurrection story from him, coming back from those terrible injuries that he suffered against Curtis Blades to one of his legs. I think it was the knee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In about 4 different places. Can I, from here, I felt all week how impressive Tom Aspinall has been mentally. His sense of humour at press conferences, the way he's managed Pavlovich, who's a very dangerous fighter. I think his last 5 have been by first round knockout. I think that's correct. He's managed him very well this week. I think psychologically he's won all the battles. And as we know, Adam, and we'll come to George on this in a moment, so much of the build-up is about whether you're winning mentally.
It's a really interesting point that you make there, and maybe George could speak a little bit extensively about this. It's about, I spoke to Tom earlier on in the week, and I asked him whether he would have taken this at last-minute notice 15, 16 months ago before the knee injury, because he's spoken a lot about having the frustrations, obviously not being able to compete, being out with a terrible knee injury. But in that period of time, he spent a lot of his time on his mental attitude towards the game. He realigned a lot of things, and everything outside of the octagon now is catered for him to try and become the heavyweight champion of the world. He's in a fantastic space mentally, and it's that 15 months out of frustration not being able to compete that's allowed him to do that.
Do you agree with that, George? That because what he's in against a guy, Tom Aspinall's very good on the ground and very good in stand-up, very elusive. He's a heavyweight. As you know in MMA, one jab can change everything with 4-ounce gloves and the 260-pound guys. Pavlovich is a very dangerous fighter, but he's already said going into this, I'm not going to stand in front of him like the other heavyweights he's knocked out. I'm going to move. I'm going to make him work. When you're doing that as a fighter and you're saying it, and he clearly believes it, does that get into the head of the opponent?
Well, it can do if it's sort of out of the ordinary, or if they're saying something that you're not necessarily comfortable with, but they seem to believe what they're saying. It's intimidating, isn't it?
Well, he's been complimenting Pavlovich, hasn't he, Adam? But critiquing him at the same time. It's been very clever. He's been using like a sword and a rapier at the same time.
Backwards compliment, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's referred to him as the most dangerous opponent in the heavyweight division. But then, as you just said, Gareth, in the same breath, we'll tell you all about his flaws and gaps of where incredibly warm about him. He's very consistent in the things that he's saying. A lot of fight fans have taken to him, and rightfully he said earlier on this week, I'm not going to become the heavyweight champion of the world, sat on my backside on the couch in Atherton. Sometimes an opportunity comes up. Would he have liked more conditioning in the build-up to this? Absolutely. But the opportunity came up. He said yes. He finds himself in Madison Square Garden tonight, and hopefully he can pull off something quite iconic.
Apart from Tom Aspinall and Sergei Pavlovich, obviously, which is the co-main event or the last but one fight, anything else on the card that we should be interested in tonight, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. The main event is for the light heavyweight title. It's been such a weird division since John Jones moved up to heavyweight. It's been a bit of a hot potato, that title, going from champion to champion. And Yuri Prochazka won the championship 15 months ago against Glover Teixeira, got injured, then vacated the belt. And in that period of time, Alex Pereira, who he fights this evening, was winning the middleweight title against Israel Adesanya, ironically, 1 year ago today in this very arena. So there's loads of interesting stats connected to that particular fight. Prochazka could become a two-time UFC champion in his fourth fight. Nobody's done that before. I think Randy Couture did it in 5. There's an opportunity for him to make some history this evening. And Alex Pereira could be a two-weight world champion within 2 years. To put that in perspective, when Conor McGregor did it, it took him 43 months to become a two-weight world champion from debut. And Alex Pereira is looking to do that in 24 months, which is quite unbelievable. Both guys, hard-hitting fellows. I'm expecting that not to go the distance. Should be fireworks.
Final one, Adam, and a very short answer on it. Women's strawweights as well. 2 great fighters, Jessica Andrade against Mackenzie Dern. 2 very popular fighters. That should be a cracker as well.
Former champion Andrade, of course, taking on Mackenzie Dern, who's listen, I think there's a lot of hype around her from the UFC. They want her to become the next superstar, but sometimes when she steps up, she just falls a little bit short. She looked brilliant last time out against Angela Hill. Big test for tonight against the former champion. She's looked great all week. She's been saying the right things. She's aligned a lot of the things outside of the octagon as well in her personal life. So tonight's a big night for Mackenzie Dern, whether she can get a win over a former champion.
Brilliant, Adam. Look forward to catching up with you. Enjoy the night. We'll look forward to catching up with you in Manchester for Bentley versus Heaney on talkSPORT Live next week. Cheers, mate.